Hi everyone. This is me. I'm a designer here and an occasional writer. That's my Twitter handle, and this is my company's Twitter handle. You can follow us. One of them is more active than the other one. I'll let you figure out which one. Some of my writing gigs here include the Designer's Weekly Digest, which will soon be renamed to Designer's Digest, because it hasn't been exactly weekly for a few weeks now. So, yeah, if you find my style of conversation here at least somewhat bearable, you can take a look at here and read some sweet roundup of designy stuff happening, usually on a daily basis. So yeah, this talk, as you saw before, it's about processes and some of the workflows we use here. I'm gonna go a little bit over some little tricks and stuff we do to make it as fast as possible. As Pavel mentioned, most of our clients are in the US. So there's also this like startup scene going on, and it's kind of fast. So sometimes we need to be in top form regarding how we deliver and so on. So we're basically gonna cover how to go from this rather bare bones looking thingy to this, which I prepared for this special workshop, which totally doesn't look like a purple Spotify. But on my defense, this was put together before the switch to the tab bar. So yeah, anyway. Wait, just let me try something. Can you see my sweet red pointer here? Oh, it looks good. So this test screen here was put together using the UI kit we use internally to build prototypes. You are gonna have some chance to download it later because I'm gonna provide some link for that, so you can go on and build nice things. Anyway, on to the thing. We love Sketch, and it's what we use. I don't know how many people here use Sketch or are at least familiar with it. Good, that's good. Anyway, we switched to Sketch sometime last year from Adobe. We still occasionally use Adobe for some specific things, but we find out that Sketch is so lightweight, and so it's such a breeze to use. We have stuff like symbols available to us. Well, I'm gonna since most of you are familiar with it, I'm gonna try to just be as brief as possible with this. We have symbols, text, and object styles, which allow us to basically create different instances of effectively objects, text, and object styles as well, which we can use repeatedly during our work times. It's open source, so it's open to community, and they can develop any kind of plugin you could possibly imagine. I'm gonna do a little bit of a roundup later as well. Asset exporting is so easy, which was like the first thing we we got pretty much into about Sketch, especially when dealing with Android. That you have to, export a bunch of weird sizes and so on. It's fairly easy to do on Sketch. And right off the bat, it's compatible with stuff like Flinto and Envision and so on, so that's a plus. And well, after, I don't know, a few months ago, Craft was released, which I don't know if anybody here is familiar with Craft by Envision. Good. You have already seen the lights. Craft is basically, it's basically a suite of plugins that allows you to design using real data, meaning both visual, meaning images, and text content, which you can just like drop into your design, and it's fairly easy. Especially if you have content provided by your client, you can just use it right away and don't waste time using lorem ipsums and fake content. So yeah, we don't like lorem ipsums, and we probably shouldn't either. So. And over the last months, Sketch has become really stable. It's been a while since we've seen these things happening. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, this is, well, I'm pretty sure now you can actually see what you're typing, so that's a good thing. They actually did a pretty good thing with the scaling in the latest version, but this was gold as well. And this is a Jesus. Oh, it goes on. I don't think I've ever been this far into the GIF. It's quite long, actually. Well, so yeah, on to the actual thing. So as I said, we work mainly with US startups. So because of that, some of them already have some sort of like visual brand identity going on, which, well, I guess it kind of makes our work easier, since an app should essentially remain as an extension of the brand or product that they are trying to sell, meaning it has to share the same visual style, the same visual language, the same values, and so on. So I'm gonna go through a little example. Pavel, oh yeah, this is what I was talking about. Pavel went over it a little bit in his talk. This is about the Tom's pitch we were working on at some point. So this is what they had. As he mentioned, we wanted to do some, to spice it up a little bit. So Tom says, I'm not sure if I can remember properly. Like what are they doing? They essentially they sell shoes, and you buy one, and you. Yeah, their concept is you buy one shoe, and some kid in a developing country will get a shoe as well. So, yeah, once you see all of once you start looking into what the brand stands for, you can more or less go into some sort of list of things that you can try and cover. So, for instance, the one-for-one concept translates into something about service, about help, solidarity, so on. It's mostly, the style of the shoes is probably more seen as something kind of hip or youthful, modern, some casual probably. It's not very bold as a brand. I mean, it's not like edgy or anything. It's more like nice. It's pleasant. And they use a lot of photos. And generally they have this like earthy looking color palette. So based on that, you can more or less get an idea of what can you do. We were continuing with what they have as a brand. We could detect all of these elements, essentially in the, well, mostly talking about the color palette and typography department. So they have this set of colors which can cover all of the bases that we probably might need, like basic text or highlights, some colors for containers, some call to action, some errors, etc. And they use Brandon, Grotesque, and Proxima Nova, which are top-notch typefaces. So that's pretty good to go, I think. Since we have a lot of different weights to choose from in there, so we can pretty much create a pleasant-looking and easy to read and so on experience, which is good, naturally. So we played around a little bit. We came up after a while with some of these screens in which we try to convey all of this. So there you can see like all of the different elements in the color palette that we use. There's a different typography, like Proxima Nova uses a main text for main typeface for copy and text, while keeping Brandon for the more subtle elements in the navigation bar. And yeah, of course the products are like the main focus on this. And you have as well big photos everywhere. There's also this section called the tribe, which was some sort of like social wall for you to post things, which also has, you know, with the whole service solidarity thing, it's cool to share like, oh yeah, I bought my shoes, they look hip, and I helped someone. That's good. However, sometimes it's not that good. And maybe they have like subpar color palette or some color palette that doesn't really work with what you're trying to do, or probably their typefaces are not very easy to read or so on. So it's good to have in mind that yeah, you can break the rules and just go for system fonts, which are quite okay. So yeah, it's important, but usability is first. And then there's also the other case, which involves clients that don't have anything, and we have to build it as well from scratch. So I don't know. I'm gonna give you a very crude example. This was also a very crude example of how we put something together, but this is probably even cruder. So bear with me, please. So just picture this in your head. Let's say you're browsing Dribble one afternoon. You're just chilling, and someone contacts you after looking at your sweet portfolio. They presumably look like this. They start talking to you about, hey, so I have this new idea. I think that I think Spotify is kind of broken. I don't like how it looks. I don't like how it works. I don't like this this approach of the shuffle. Shuffle is like the devil. I don't care about single songs. I think playlists are bringing the apocalypse. I think everything was way better when albums were around. So you're like, okay, you're into the rhetoric that this random guy is bringing up to you, and you buy into the concept. You're like, okay, so why not? Let's come up with something for like some sort of player that is focused on listening to albums. Why not? So going to the same checklist here. So what you remember from your talk with the dude is like, okay, so he's into albums. If he mentions like Spotify, he's kind of aware of what the market is. So let's try and go for some sleek and modern look. Kind of like what Spotify themselves have, or Tidal, or Rdio. May God rest its soul, because that was really a really good product. He insists that albums aren't dead. Okay, maybe we can do something about it. How could we emphasize the album thing? Bright colors, because music is fun and albums are fun as well. At least from what you could hear from the guy. Albums are kind of geeky as well, so maybe some sort of means to learn more about either the artist or the album. Why not? He wants to take them on the go, maybe download them into your device. Absolutely no playlists and albums. Okay, so onto the process. We can work on a very functional color palette for this. As I mentioned before, you can cover all of the bases, like a main fore and background colors, copy, call to actions, error messages, etc., etc. And to go with this like techie, modern aesthetic, why not use Din? And it's a classic font. It's composed of a lot of different weights, which we can use to our advantage. So why not? After that, it would be a nice thing to create a mood board, because they're handy. It doesn't really have to be a lot of complex things, maybe just something that can help you look for what kind of feel do you want to achieve with the app. This is probably from some other unrelated app to music players, which has more to do with cool graphs or something, but you get the picture. You can just, I don't know, go and Dribble and find some sweet shots and get some inspiration from that. Of course, you can also add some outside inspirations like album covers, maybe. So based on that, you can come up with your sweet screens or the app, just ready for the Dribble shot. And I may remind you that this is totally not Spotify. So that's pretty much the approach. We can get as little or as much information we can from a client, and well, we have to process it somehow. So that's pretty much how it goes. And now a little bit of a life advice or life-saving tips, I guess, that I've come across over the years and stuff. Some of them, Pavel mentioned them already, but it happens. So I guess they're good if we came across the same things separately. Obvious will always beat clever. As he said, it's not necessary to try and reinvent the wheel every time. like working for the concept and for your audience is usually what you, well, ideally what you should be thriving to do. However, it's kind of a controversial thing nowadays with the whole focus on functionality. This microphone is kind of with the whole focus on functionality. Some other designers, I know, like Eli Schiff, for example, he's rambling all the time about the lost values of aesthetics and the craft of making your beautiful shiny buttons and so on. But it really depends on what you're trying to work for. This is a nice blog post I'm adding here by Cap Watkins. He's an engineer, I think, but he basically tackles this issue, and it's a good read. You probably should take a look at it. Pavel mentioned this as well. Text will probably usually be the best interface because there's nothing more literal than a word describing what it does. So think of your audiences, and if you think that using an icon is the best for your audience, then go for it. Then readability and legibility is a top thing here because usually the content will be the most important thing in your app. If the content is just not easy to read and not easy to comprehend, it's kind of worth nothing. So this is both about copywriting itself and how it actually looks, meaning typography and so on. And well, yeah, your calls to action need to be really obvious. Like, users need to understand and know fairly easily what they're supposed to be doing on each screen. So yeah. Oh god, this thing is. Sorry. Nah. No, what's next? So some of the plugins that I mentioned before that I've been using to speed up my workflow. Is anybody familiar with Runner? Okay. Okay. Is anybody familiar with Alfred or use Spotlight in their Mac? Quite good. Well, essentially, Runner is Alfred on Sketch, brought into your Sketch. So if you're a user of text input interfaces, then this might be a good thing. I'll try and show it later. It was not working before, but we'll see. There's Nudget as well. This is very good since some of you who are familiar with Sketch might know that once you can when you're nudging and you hold Shift or some other key, you can increase the amount of pixels you're nudging. By default, it's 10. But what if your baseline grid is 12? You can just switch it to 12 using Nudget, and every time you nudge your object, it will move by that amount, which is very handy, especially when dealing with Android if your base grid is 8. So yeah. Well, I talked about Craft, and I love it, and you should too as well. Well, we use InVision for showing designs to clients and getting feedback, and sketching showing some interactions and so on. And Flinto for some more complex or specific-looking animations that we cannot do on InVision. So, yeah. And these are some things that I do every now and then that can help you as well. I don't do it all the time because it happens, but they're good to. This is about naming conventions. This is really handy because when you're working on apps, it can get extremely messy. I'm not sure if it's clear enough here, like the different opacity values, but anyway, let's say each first square here would indicate like the first version of one screen. For instance, you have sign up. But then you have another state in which you want to show how it looks when the user is typing. Okay, so 011 typing, and then 02 sign in, which is a different variation within the same set of features. And this applies even for further states. Like this is the filter. Okay, so if I apply the filter, it looks like this. If the filter shows an empty screen, it looks like this, which is essentially an empty state. If I want to see everything, it looks like this, so on and so forth. Well, it doesn't matter if you are, if you basically have to sandwich a different state between two different main screens. It happens. So yeah, this is a detail of the track, and this is how it looks like when it's downloaded. than going back to another kind of detail. So this is handy. This is mostly handy because it's easier to sort the artboards once you import to InVision, because you have the little numbers to guide you. Well, there's many people who are probably going to be using your sketch file as well, so it's good to be considerate every now and then. And about naming, well, this is a very cool thing. If you use the slashes here to separate like a category with the actual name of the file or symbol you're actually naming, it turns into this, which is a very nifty way of sorting things. And also, once you are exporting all of those symbols, for instance, you export all of this like elements / navbar, you would get the respective folders. For instance, you would get a main folder called element, then a navbar folder, an icons folder, and each folder would have its subsequent symbols, which is pretty handy. I think these latest versions of Sketch really encourage you to be a lot tidier. Now with the symbols being a separate artboard and, well, separate entities to what they used to be, which were basically glorified groups, which were purple instead of blue, that you could use in any way you like. But now you have all of your symbols in a separate artboard, and it can prompt you to be very tidy and create a style guide, which will help you to make design systems. Now about design systems, what is it? Bradford? I forgot the name, and we're recording this. Oh well. He has this system in which you create the basic atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, and pages. So an atom is essentially all of those like little components you see, like buttons or inputs and little headers, which come forth together to form a molecule, which then you would use to create like modules and essentially go from there. So this is basically what you're doing when you're creating a style guide. So yeah, it's handy. And these are some custom shortcuts that I use that I find extremely handy. Being a native app, you can customize pretty much every single thing, every single shortcut you might want to, as long as it's a tool, it's a function on the tab bars. So yeah, these are pretty good. These are my most used functions probably. And yeah, I think we can go for a quick test drive for some of those things. Right. So this is the file of the thing that I showed before. I'm not sure if there's all right. So as you can see, I have the symbols artboard that I was talking about before. It's obviously quite small because it's just a few screens that I put together for this workshop thingy. But yeah, you can see all of those naming conventions that I was talking about, different states, and so on and so forth. These instances can be edited obviously from here at any time. So for instance, this is a regular tab bar, so it's called Discover. I can put, hi guys. So it's very easy since it's not changing any other instance of the thing unless I explicitly request it to do it, which I'm not gonna do. And of course the symbols, well, you can just switch them around here, and well, that's good. But we know how that works. And now about the craft thingy, especially if you're, as I said, if your client provides you with images and content, then it's fairly simple, since you can just upload them into some folder that you have and go into craft and photos, and it automatically fills and populates with the content. I previously created a folder full of this like little album covers. They just get repeated up to infinity. For instance, you have cells like this, which are just like tedious to make realistic looking. So you can just, and I hope this works because this was also a little bit iffy before the talk, so bear with me. So you have a main element here. Oh, there it is. And as you can see, it populates the same cell which we had with different elements that I had already written previously. And now you have the beloved record, A Moon-Shaped Pool by Kimbra, that looks like the bands by Radiohead. So yeah, essentially, of course, this probably doesn't apply to everything, but I think the main task you would have to do to apply this kind of trick is to identify which are the repeating elements in your app, like the main modules that you want to reuse, so you can find a way to implement this kind of thing. Well, there was Runner as well, which, oh, it has an update, so, okay. Let's see, yeah. Well, let's hope for the best, so. What? Yeah, I saved. Let's see. Yeah, update available. Well, didn't I just install the update? Was that my computer? Yeah. Oh, this is awkward. Oh well, doesn't seem to be working. But anyway, as you can see, I'm just like controlling it by typing. So you can see, you have different functions like going to a specific artboard, a specific element. You can insert the symbols directly, which is super handy. But here it's gonna crash, so yeah. Yeah, so I don't think it's working here, but when it works, it's lovely. I can assure you that. And anyway, as you know, you can edit the symbols in any way you want, and you will see it reflected on any other instance. For example, as to avoid repeating myself. Oh my. Oh, here you go. So I have this element which made this list here. So I can just like move it around, and it's gonna move all of them together. So no need to do those tasks like, you know, I have to edit every single element on my cell. What am I gonna do? No, it's not the Stone Age anymore, so that's good. It's very clunky. I think it's a 4K. Oh well. Yeah. Beautiful. So yeah, all of this was put together using the craft thing. Even this like little modules here can be accessed somehow with craft. Here I have it, and I can just use the same thing. I just need some gutter here, and it didn't duplicate. Oh my god, craft, why you do this to me? I'm live. Anyway, that's essentially the thing. When it works, it works. It's really handy. But as you might possibly know, they updated Sketch yesterday, so of course everything is kind of iffy right now. But sorry. Anyway, you can access these links to download some sweet things. Like library has the UI kit I talked to you about earlier in the talk. And it's for iOS. I'm not sure if it has the Android as well. Might have. I don't know. In this link? Yes? Okay, yeah, there is as well. I hope. I don't know. Well, it might be. we will update if not. And plugins is a collection of some of the things that I use here. And this is how you can install them if you don't know how to. Some of them are handy, some of them are out of date, obviously, so you have to, you know, do the hard work and update them. So yeah, and there's also the Sketch toolbox if you don't know, if you want to take a look at some other sweet plugins that you can use. Thanks. If this was not too unbearable, as I said, you can just read the same kind of things that I've been talking about here on the Designers Weekly and on Twitter, even though I don't really tweet often, but yeah. Now my good friend Marian will come over in 5 minutes, I guess, to prepare you guys for the workshop. And yeah, thank you. One more thing, I do like Spotify. You know, it's. But yeah, you know, listen to albums. You know.